On the bench today, we're going to be talking about the FJ Cruiser today. We're making a tire change, and I want to discuss kind of why we're doing that. A couple of things to talk about with these. So stay tuned, and we're going to have a look at some brand new tire offerings from RC4 Drive. Couple of new tires that just came out from RC4 Drive, and I'm like pretty amazed at actually how sticky these things really are. These are incredible. I wasn't expecting the tires to be, hard compound or anything, but I really wasn't expecting them to be this soft and this sticky. Like, these are crazy. This one here is a 1.9 size rim, and this is a Goodyear licensed Duratrack tire. The running diameter on it works to be something like 3.8, so that's a pretty nice size for a lot of small trucks, and of course easily Class 1 legal. Really nice tiny tire. It's kind of wide, which gives you a nice traction set. You're going to have a good chance of biting into the rocks and dirt with this. I had a chance to run these already once at the North Carolina trails, and these things are really nice tires. I'm pretty impressed with the Duratrack here from RC4 Drive, and that's a 1.9. And then slightly larger 1.9 that's just been released as well is the Goodyear Wrangler MTR version. Again, 1.9 rim. It's about the same width as the Duratrack version, and they also have a 155 version, which Matt is using on his XJ in Florida, and it's totally amazing tire. Like, I mean, bonkers amazing. One of the things I want to discuss about this is we've already talked about foams, tire foams, like a million times, and I've talked about changing the tire foams to use a printed insert. So like this one, for instance, I've actually made a huge 3D printed insert that goes inside the wheel and then have a smaller amount of foam, and that's a really good trick for getting just the right amount of tire squish that you actually want on your truck, and it also gives you a whole bunch of sidewall support so that you don't end up with the tire rolling over on the rim. Now, with that said, we all know that Pitbull has stepped up their foam game, and they've got a full set of Dirty Richard foams out now, and you can actually get all the Pitbull new tires with a really nice hard gray foam in it, which I think is great, and thank you to everybody for listening to the market on that. And the really good news is that RC4 Drive has now done the same thing. So whereas they've still used the original gray foam in the Duratrack, this one is a little more squishy, the foam is a little more squishy, but remember, this tire doesn't have a lot of sidewall either, so that's okay. Excuse me. The MTR, of course, is a 1.9 wheel, but it has a much higher sidewall, and so they've done a couple of things with the tire design and the foam to make this a success for everybody. They put massive ribs in the tire. Like, look at those. In the sidewall, there's just huge ribs made into the sidewall rubber, and what that does is it keeps the tire from compressing. So when you're going over terrain and you're pushing on the tire here, the sidewall is resisting this motion, and it's also going to resist the sidewall squishing over when you're steering because of the ribs that are all around the edge here on the inside. And the other thing that RC4 Drive did is they've come up with this brand new foam. This one is white now, which when you got it with the little locking ring inside the wheel, what you end up with is actually a really nice stiff foam combination. This is a surprisingly nice setup. It would be equal to me, and maybe even one step over the new Pitbull foam, just simply because I think this foam is just this white foam from RC4 Drive is just a tiny bit softer than the foams that you get from the Pitbull tires. A tiny bit softer, like a tiny bit softer. Not enough to warrant changing it out, but certainly it's soft enough that you're going to get it to contour into the wheel really well. You can see how square this rim still is. I've got the insert, the locking insert in it already, and the tread is really nice and square. The sidewalls are nice and square. This is just amazing. So what we're doing here, I'm changing out the Class 2 Pitbull Rock Beast that was on the FJ Cruiser, and I'm changing them out for these MTRs. So what I've already got 3 of these done here, and I'm going to do the last one here, and then I just wanted to show you the comparison. So we've already got the MTR on the truck here. I just recycled the same SSD steel D-hole wheel that I was using before, and I just took the pit bulls off of it and I put the MTRs on, and you can see the look is just great. Like, I'm actually really impressed with these. Now, one of the things I have to clarify here is that on the sidewall it says it's 4.2 right there in the writing, and they're speccing just simply because, I'm sure they did this just for this reason, but simply because they wanted to keep the sidewall looking scale. There's a ton of detail on here that's Goodyear licensed and authentically replicated. But they've got the tire diameter on here as 4.2 by 1, actually it says 42 by 16 R19 LT for light trail. Okay, so that's what they're using, except that the spec on the website for this tire is 419. So instead of saying 41.9 on the sidewall, they simply put 42. And that matters because there's some events that are out there where the manufacturer spec doesn't match up with the tire spec that's written on the tire, and then when you go to the event, they're trying to score your tires by what size they are, and if it says 42 by the sidewall and the spec is actually less on the website, then there's a discrepancy with that, and you don't know if the tire is going to be Class 1 legal or not. I can tell you right now that this tire on the website is spec'd in at 419, even though on the sidewall it says 42. Okay, that's just because they're trying to make a scale replica tire. That's all. It's a 419 Class 1 legal tire. So, with that said, I can change out them onto the FJ Cruiser, and then my comp toy is now officially Class 1 legal. I mean, you already have seen this truck 1,000 times. You know that all the detail work that's on here is 100% Class 1 legal. I've got full tire tuck on the truck on both sides. It's got all the lights. I think with the Class 1 tire, and now I've added the SSD wheel hubs on the front and back, this truck I think is going to be like 80 points now on Class 1. So I definitely don't need to go any bigger than that. I'm pretty sure 80 points is enough. Now, with that said, I got one rim left to do, and you can easily see the difference in the tire size here. This is kind of a cool little thing. So this tire, compared to the Pitbull, is a little bit smaller. Not much, but it's a little bit smaller. And that means that I'm going from the 445 spec on the Pitbull to the 419 spec, even though I'm actually not losing a lot of tire height in reality. And that's important to me because I wanted to make sure that the Cruiser didn't all of a sudden tank in its performance, right? I didn't want to get a tire that was low enough on it that I would actually start to hang up or have clearance issues or whatever. So you can see here that I've got lots of clearance issues. I've got lots of clearance everywhere. I've got no problem with tire tuck. I've certainly got no problem with steering. I've got no problem now with traction. These tires are amazing. And I'm really, really, really glad. Thank you to a couple of people for recommending this tire to me. And 2 people that I know are using this and have recommended it to me are David Krieger, who's at the Bauhaus RC. David is a huge advocate for making tiny trucking better, and he said, you need this tire on your comp toy because it will bring it to Class 1, and this is an incredible tire. And then I got a huge recommendation for this tire from Matt Dexter, who's running the Class 1 155 version, and he said, oh yeah, they're crazy sticky. So I took a chance on it, and sure enough, the recommendations were right, and these tires are amazing. And those are the changes we've made to the comp toy. I would highly recommend this as a Class 1 tire, especially for a bigger body vehicle like an FJ Cruiser. This is probably too much of a tire for most of my other Class 1 trucks. Definitely too big for an RC four-wheel drive Blazer body. It would fit probably pretty well, but pretty big in a Raffi Defender size body, because it's a pretty big tire. But on a giant body like this scale, it's a perfect match. And thanks again to RC four-wheel drive for coming up with these totally amazing compounds and super sticky tires. These are incredible. This is going to get back out on the trail here, and now I'm going to be completely Class 1 legal, running 80 points. And thanks guys for watching On the Bench today, and hopefully there's some tips here that can help you guys make tiny trucking better for yourself. Bye bye.